welcome. This is Martin with My IELTS Tutor. I want to thank you for joining me today. Today we're going to continue our talks about listening, and today I'm going to talk about Section 1. Last I gave an overview about Section 1, basically described it for you. Today we're going to take a closer look at the question types. So pay attention and let's begin. Alright, so now to begin, we have four particular question types that we'll get for Section 1. These include form completion, multiple choice questions, table completion, and sentence completion. Now, let's take a look at form completion. Now, we have a sample here for form completion here on your screen. It's complete the form, write no more than 2 words and or a number, and we have the title, bus pass application. We're looking for a name, part of an address, city, and bus pass type, for example. So that's basically what a form looks like. On the paper-based IELTS, it looks like a form on your paper. On the computer-based IELTS, it could be like a set of lines or kind of notes in that form that appear on the computer screen. So that's what it looks like. Now let's take a look at this type of question much closer. Now, how to answer form completion questions? Well, the strategy is this. Basically 6 steps. We have number 1, read the directions regarding word count. That's important. Number 2, read the title, if any. Number 3, look at the gaps. Looking at the gaps, you can try to predict the answers, or at least predict when the answers will come up. Look at the surrounding gaps. Look at the words surrounding them. Those are your key words, and think of how they can be paraphrased. Then you want to fill in the gaps as you listen, and then transfer your answers to the answer sheet. Remember to make sure that the answers are spelled correctly on the answer sheet. Now, the key points here are you must write either a word, short phrase, or a number, okay? So this means you could write either 1 word, 2 words, 3 words, depending on the instructions, or 1 word and a number, or 2 words and a number, or just a number. And so pay attention to the instructions, and you must decide how much you write. You must stick to the word limit indicated by the instructions. You must use the exact words as you hear in the audio. That's right, so whatever the audio says, that's the word or words you need to write. And then final answers must be spelled correctly. If you must write a short phrase, it must be grammatically correct. And then pay attention to plural nouns. If the answer is asking for a plural noun, you need to write down that plural noun. This is especially true for nouns that end with S. You want to pay attention to those. And then keep in mind that the questions follow the sequence of the audio. So this means that the answer to the first question will be the first. Second question will be next, and so on and so forth. So keep that in mind. Now, when we consider multiple choice questions, we have 2 basic forms. We have single answer multiple choice questions, where you have to pick 1 option out of 3, and then you have more than 1 answer. It could be either 2 options out of 5, 3 options out of 6, 4 options out of 7, something like that. So the key point though for these is to pay attention to the questions, so you know how many options you have to choose. Now, preparing for multiple choice questions, there are some key considerations. First, look for a title for the questions. Titles give you an idea of the situation in which the audio that involves the questions. So that's very important with the title. Also, reading the title will help you understand that portion of the audio better, as well as the questions and options. Then you want to read the question and the options too. You want to do your reading prior to listening to the audio. You're given 1 minute, so really do that. Read the questions, read the title, read the options during that 1 minute of time you have before the audio. Now, as you read the questions and the options, you want to mark options which are similar, because one option will be a distractor, which is designed to make you think that that's correct, but it's not. Usually the distractors mirror, meaning they're very similar to the correct answer. So what you want to do is note the differences between the two options, and then look for keywords in the questions and options as well. And then come up with synonyms or ways that they can be expressed differently in the audio. Now, keep in mind that all the answers are likely to be mentioned, but only one is correct for single option MCQs, and then or for list multiple choice questions where you have to find more than one option, the number of options specified will be mentioned. Okay? Now, another thing is, the first answer that you hear is not necessarily the correct answer. It could be the second or third, so pay attention. Now, because of that, you don't want to mark your answer immediately when you hear it, okay? What you should do is put a tick mark instead, and then keep listening to ensure that's correct. You can also cross out the incorrect options as you listen, and then don't be afraid to mark up the question paper in this regard. It can help you. Now, multiple choice strategy. Let's take a quick look at that. First, look for any title, then read the directions, then look for keywords in the question and options. Consider synonyms and paraphrases for those keywords. For example, the question might say offer teaching, but in the audio you might hear give lessons, for example. Now, make sure you pay attention for the answer as you listen. And remember, it may not always come first. It may not be the first mention. And then look out for negations, meaning that the opposite of what is said in an option, so is said in the audio. So if something's said in the audio and the speaker says the opposite, that could trick you into thinking that might be correct. So be mindful of those, okay? So again, look out for negations because those signal incorrect options. And then tick off answers, cross out incorrect answer options. And then transfer your answers onto the answer sheet at the end of the test. You have 10 minutes to do that. Okay? Now for table questions, now I'm just going to show you table questions, but table and sentence completions questions are very much the same. It's the same strategy that you use for both. They're very similar, and it's very similar to the form completion, okay? But this is what table completion questions look like. Sentence completion, I've gone over, no, I haven't gone over. Sentence completion is basically you have a sentence where you have to fill in the gap with either a word or phrase. And so it's very similar to, like I said, form completion or table completion. But for table completion, you have basically different categories that you have to match details in as you hear them. And so this is what a table completion looks like, as you can see from the screen. Now, let's talk strategy. Now for strategy for both sentence, as I said, the strategy for table completion and sentence completion is the same. First thing you want to do is read the directions regarding word count. That's very important. Just like I mentioned for form completion. Then if there's a title, you want to read the title. That will help you understand the situation in which the questions appear in the audio. And so you might help you understand what's going on better. And then look at the gaps so you can try to predict the answers. Then look at the words surrounding the gaps. Try to think of their phrases, paraphrases, of how they may be expressed differently. Then fill in the gaps as you listen, and then transfer your answers onto the answer sheet, making sure that the spelling is correct. Now the key points for table and sentence completion are these. You must write either a word, short phrase, or a number. You must stick to the word limit indicated in the instructions. You must use the exact words from the audio. Remember that, exact words from the audio. Final answers must be spelled correctly. If you must write a short phrase, it must be grammatically correct. Pay attention to plural nouns, especially nouns that end with an S, and then the questions follow the sequence of the audio. And that's it for today's lesson. I want to thank you. It's nice having you joining me, and I'll see you for the next lesson.